Officer, this Krogan is part of a secret Spectre task force. Operation Fire Cobra Claw.
Operation Fire Cobra Claw?
That's right. I can take it from here.
Howdy folks, I'm Hamwich, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mass Effect Guardian Weekly Roundup. A weekly podcast where we read the main events and side stories, then chop them up into bite-sized pieces for you to listen to. That way you can always stay up to date with what's been happening within the Mass Effect Guardian universe. Pro tip: if you find yourself enjoying these stories we report upon, I implore you, please visit the original roleplay. I promise you, it is a bazillion times more satisfying. More satisfying than a night with Helene. In this week's episode, we'll be catching up on the AVALON main event, the GANDIVA main event, and the MURAMASA main event. It's a short episode this week, folks.
Reporting for the AVALON, this is Core. Following the crew that was assigned for the mission arriving in the meeting room, the team was briefed on the situation, as the massive ship of unknown design is visible outside the meeting room. The ship is noticeably different from anything encountered in the Milky Way, and begged the question, where did it come from, and why? The crew prepared to board the unknown vessel, and prepped a shuttle with various supplies for the mission. They had no clue what they were up against after all. After departing the AVALON, the ship approached the unidentified vessel, which promptly opened up a hangar bay for them to land in. Most of the crew was unsettled by the easy admittance. It seemed ominously similar to a trap. Upon landing in the hangar bay, the crew discovered that there was another Kodiak shuttle. Sensors indicated to the other shuttle was used less than an hour ago. Dr. Jazzo noted that it seemed to be a Confederate vessel. The crew ventured across the ominously silent hangar and were faced with the decision of where to go. There were two options, but there was very little indication as to where either of them went. But a notable suggestion came from Admiral Blackwood. I recommend that your team look for clues indicating where the Confederates went. Heat signatures, boot scuffing, whatever. That's your best lead on finding them and learning what they know about this thing. Marshal Blackwood. Mazeril decided to follow Blackwood's advice and try to find any indication leading to where the other visitors went. Reporting on the AVALON, this is Core.
Agent Novak continuing his report on the GANDIVA. Gliding through the upper atmosphere with only as much grace as a brick can, Kodiak Cupcake descended towards its designated zone. Brave's contacts had pulled through, and the team infiltrated the planet's sensory grid without any issues. Islet brought the shuttle to a suitable rest around 15 meters from the edge of the tree line. Disappearing from the now landed shuttle like shadows from a mobile, the Guardian operatives split up and reached the woods without any trouble. The squad quickly went about surveying the villa for guards and entry points, gathering plenty of intel on both. Unfortunately, they still had no scans of the villa's interior. They would need to deal with that problem sooner rather than later. As for now, they had a new problem. While scouting, Ayana caught the attention of a patrolling guard, and he had come to investigate. The squad quickly split into 3 groups, and relocated after a brief discussion, leaving the guard to investigate the darkness alone. Zakhar and Ayana moved silently into the woods, keeping their eyes peeled for a hidden exit, but ultimately found nothing. Odeker and Chris had set up an overwatch position closer to the villa, making sure to keep an eye on the guards' movements. And finally, Sardonnet and Rallon prowled their way towards the guard post and formulated a plan to disable the outer cameras and potentially the guards inside. This is Novak, Kila Salai.
Reporting on the Muramasa. Again, this is Agent Corvus. A scouting party consisting of Helnea, Clayton, and Jax pushed forward along the eastern flank with little hesitation, moving stealthily through the charred remains of what appeared to be a former tenement building. Things took a turn for the worse when they heard a Quarian voice coming from behind them. Meanwhile, Torsk, Cern, Reek, and Nyreen held positions at Shiagar Square. CERN began to interrogate the Quarian prisoner, but regrettably got little information out of him. This didn't stop him, though, when he continued to question the terrified Quarian. He speaks up, claiming he just wants a new homeworld for his people. Suddenly, Jax came bursting into view, only to see the crew of the Muramasa. After a moment, he realized the truth. The Quarian voice that they had heard from behind was the same Quarian voice that they had captured. It seems a lack of communication was to blame for this mistake, something the squad would need to address if they are to succeed on this mission. CERN let the Quarian prisoner go, be a liability in a gunfight. Now that they have regrouped, the Muramasa team made their way to the first storefront standing between them and the plaza housing Midas Interstellar, their target. Reporting on the Muramasa, Corvus out.
That's going to be all for this episode. I'd like to thank Master Ninja for the awesome voice-acted reports, and Cowher and Grom for writing those reports. I want to say a huge thank you to our admins, mods, and GMs for all the hard work they continue to do for us all. Finally, I'd like to thank you all for listening.
You've been a jolly good audience. I thank you. I'm Hamwich, and this has been RP Roundup.